Hey folks, it's George Leoniak and welcome to New Geometry. I'm here to share a video today about the Russian pyramid and the sacred geometry behind it. For the past 2 months or so, I've been deep into discovery about many different relationships of the Russian pyramid to the Giza pyramid in relationship to the Platonic solids and infinite fractal implosion. And this is a presentation today. I've got a slideshow coming up. It's a little bit twofold because with all that information, I thought it'd be fantastic to also put it together into an awesome pyramid workshop that I'm going to be offering coming up at the beginning of 2023. And I want to talk about some of the things that I'll be covering within that, maybe inspire you to join me for that. So I just want to overview some of the details, some of the first drawings that I did here of the sacred geometry behind this. Now, it's a really interesting story. I started working on this from a diagram that I saw in a Star Cut Diagram book by Malcolm Stewart. Didn't really know that Charlie Zeiss, researcher of Pyramid Science Foundation and studying the Russian pyramid and building pyramids, didn't know who Charlie was, but I was working on this in a relationship side by side, with him doing my own thing. And then we came together recently. We have another video out there. But he went about his own method of discovering how to do this pyramid because the information from Russia, because there's about 40 of these, one is the tallest one, 144 meters tall, was not released to the West. But sacred geometry holds all the wisdom and knowledge to reconstruct and learn how to recreate this pyramid. So I applied all my know-how of sacred geometry and discovered many methods of how to create this special angle, which is the blue pyramid here, 76.345, is the base angle right here of the pyramid. And I found that there were some awesome relationships in the drawing and construction of this to the Giza pyramid, and the two nest one within inside the other. And there's a few diagrams that I'll share within the workshops, particularly of how the how to draw the Russian pyramid, not only going with the base facing up to the pinnacle, but also intersecting the top of the pyramid, the Giza pyramid that is, and going down towards the base, meeting right at the center. So these are going to be models that I'm going to show you the techniques of how to draw them hand drawn, because sacred geometry doesn't only contain the side views or the top views of these forms, it actually contains the nets. So this is a portion of the overall diagram and the circles we'll need to draw in order to create the double nesting. So these are the two nets, the larger Giza pyramid here. If you folded that up, have to share this in other videos, but I was happy to find that the relationship of the Russian pyramid net is in there too. And in the workshop, we'll draw this, and then you could cut it out or color it in. It'd be fun to cut it out and see how it folds up, both the pyramids in relationship to one another. But I'll also be providing the many nets like these forms that I've created, that you'll be able to cut these out with the little windowed version and build them all on your own. With a computer-generated version, because there are some inaccuracies, especially if you're new to sacred geometry. And of course, this workshop is going to be open to any level, whether you're advanced or beginner, because I've been doing sacred geometry really seriously for a while, and I never discovered this angle. I haven't ever seen it talked about, or well, I've seen it talked about in Charlie's book, but other researchers of sacred geometry, drawers, never bring this angle, a technique of how to draw the angle. And the neat thing about it, and why this phi scaling angle is so kind of unique, is that we have golden ratio circles kind of stacked one on top of the other, going to an infinite point at the top of the pyramid. And when you stack these on top of one another, if you drew a line that was tangent to all those spheres that are, because they're full ball all the way, a sphere all the way down the side, that would be the slope angle, the slant angle of 76.345. It's touching a little bit higher up than the midpoint on the ball. So, this was a neat discovery of thinking about it really more like a cone. So we could picture uh, the whole pyramid itself, which is the four-sided base with the square. You can picture it as a cone that's on the inside of that, which is this cone here, going perfectly inside, and it basically holds the slant angle. So these are going to be things that we're also going to make, and the cone is going to be another thing that we'll make in the workshop as well. But it has a relationship to the golden spiral because the golden spiral will travel around 1, 2, 3, 4, and come back around. And that's the same way that this spiral goes all the way around. And it's going to follow the stacked scaling of the golden ratio spheres on top of one another. You can pick any one of these colored balls or segments and work your way around and follow and trace out the outline from the back to the side to the front and etc. as you work your way around. Now, I came up with a nifty little method to create a cone using hand-drawn sacred geometry techniques. It's a tricky angle to get because you have to get this angle to fold the cone up so that it will fit perfectly within inside the square of the base of the pyramid. Now, the amazing thing is in the workshop, we're going to try and do all this. So everything is to scale. So we're going to do different drawings of different sizes to get your drawing to be the same size as the template that folds up, and do the cone drawing so the cone will fit in there. You're going to do this like a classic geometer with just the use of your hands, and that is so empowering to know that you can create these amazing geometric structures just with the compass and straight edge, and with a little bit of guidance to help find the angle. So this method of creating the cone, because you have to be super precise down to the decimal point, is probably within 99.999% accuracy. It's just a few hairs off. But we have a technique to get the lines in the drawing, and it'll fit perfectly in. Now, I do have the cone constructed from the GeoGebra, and I'll send that along. And of course, the cones with the this spiral pattern on top, we'll send all those nets along as well. So we'll be doing this over a course of 3 sessions. So, we'll draw the pyramid in the first session, the side view, then we'll do the nets the second time to do the folded up version of the pyramids like this, do that template, and then we'll do the cone in the last session, put them all together. Here's just another picture of these cones with 1 golden spiral from the top facing down. And of course, we could do it with 8 golden spirals. Also have a version of this with 5 or 10 golden spirals, which looks quite interesting too. Now, of course, this cone is really interesting because it fits into the structural geometry of the forms that I talk about on my channel quite a bit, about the rhombic tricontahedron, which is this form right here, rhombic tricontahedron, and this one is a compound of the icasa and dodecahedron. So all the conic solids are nested within this. And this cone fits perfectly within inside. Here's a picture of a torus, a very nicely done version of it that has the sphere to the side, that goes around the outside of the torus with the cone in the middle. So we will, just to give you a little bit of reference of why this double cone going and meeting in the middle relates to this kind of infinite implosion that happens at the center of this torus. Now, it's just neat the way that this model is made is that it's already implying this, because you can take these little magnetic building blocks out, and this little wedge-shaped piece actually would be the same wedge piece as this that I did quite a while ago. It was showing the infinite fractality. I put these little balls in here, one and the third one is down in here, basically show within each of these levels of the tricontahedron, we would get these balls showing up, which are these golden ratio spheres, which is actually the same wedge piece that is inside this little magnetic building toy, was already implied within there. Now that's going into the side of the face here, but we can also look at this from another view, which is related to the top-down view of the dodecahedron. And it's very neat to see that you have this infinite scaling basically from 1 phi squared to phi cubed. These are these color-coded dodecahedron. red to red again would be 1 to phi cubed. And through there, we have these 4 golden ratio spheres going through the top. And the beauty of this is that that circle is the same one that fits inside the pentagram star within each of these. So these 1 for 1 are the spheres that would fit in this one, to this one. This one here goes in that, and the smallest one over here would go in the 1-inch one. So it's just really, really amazing to see how the Russian pyramid, that spheres that are stacked within that slant angle fit right within inside the pentagram on the top. And remember, this pentagram star here is really the edges of 5 cubes. Within a dodecahedron, there are 5 cubes within this. So right where each of these 5 edges cross are really the 5 edges of a cube, and right in the sweet spot of that opening is that circle that's going to go infinitely in the side, compressing down and in the middle on that slant angle, and the spheres are just going to magically line up between the relationship that the edges of those 5 cubes, making that little pentagon right in the middle. So of course, this is a conceptual view of what that torus may look like from the side, with the 2 balls, the 2 76.345 cones from the side. Now we could draw this as well, and I did this with my apprentices. I have an 8-week, 9-session apprenticeship group, and we did this one in week 4 or 5, and some of these apprentices have been with me for a little while. This was a returning group, but I have this video already created, so I'm going to include that in the workshop, because I'm going to include some additional videos, because 3 sessions is not a lot to cover all the content I have, and I'm going to send this video that is already done. I'm going to create a couple more videos that have some additional content in addition to the nets to get you fully involved with working with this slant angle in a variety of different geometric layouts. So it can be done with the hand-drawn compass, and of course I love to make the models. So you're going to get also this template that I created that shows the relationship of the slant angle with inside this cone here, which is going to be now switching from the square-based version of this into a pentagon version of the cone, which is this one here. So I've got a pentagon version of this as well, which follows the same slant angle. And I did that because I wanted to show the whole thing with inside the dodecahedron. So we're going to put this whole thing together with this other cone, which is a 63.4 cone that fits in the outer circle of the pentagon face, and we'll be able to create this cool model that is the what I call it, the kind of imploding dodecahedron, including the 76.345 blue cones going into the center. I'll provide this template so you can construct this by just taping the edges together and maybe using a little hot glue to hold up the upright cones there. So lots of fun to be had if you're wanting to get started in sacred geometry. Even with drawing, you don't have to make any of the models if you don't feel called to, but you'll have them available. And we're going to get even a little more in another diagram here that I thought was just amazing that came out of this. One of the first drawings I did when I discovered the cones from the 4 directions. If you drew a straight line across here, it actually makes another cone, which is the dual cone. I didn't know anything about dual cones, but of course, when you discover a new sacred geometric relationship and start thinking about this in cones, cones have duals, and there's a dual cone within here, which is this red shape here, which is actually looks like a flat disc like there. And I made this model, which nests right on top of these cones. The Russian pyramid cone, the 76.345, with its dual cone, which produces a 90-degree angle. That's what the definition of the dual cones are, is that they produce this 90-degree angle at this slope. And I came up with this very cool looking model, which we could do from multiple directions, but I'll also be sending this along too for you to construct and build and contemplate. And maybe it will unlock some interesting discovery that you might find with that one. Now, a lot of this information has that Charlie has very well documented. This cone shape has been at the top of steeples all throughout the Gothic age, all the way back throughout history, from ancient Hindu temples that he's documented, Buddhist temples. It's been in all sorts of religious traditions from the West as well. That suddenly over time just dropped out of use. And the Russian pyramid was the first time that, for quite a while, that has been made publicly a big example of this phi scaling angle. But this is just from 300 years ago that one of the new geometers posted on when I was starting to post about the Russian pyramid. They're so sharp in seeing these relationships, sent me this image to show that those look like the Russian pyramids right over top of this. And sure enough, they are perfect Russian pyramids drawn from roughly 300 years ago. This might be a reprint of the original work, but nevertheless, we can see that even the golden ratio, which are these red circles that are emanating from the tops of the pyramids, are on precise circles within the diagram. So the whole thing must have had some phi organization right from the start of the grand mystery here, which of course has much probably information and wisdom in this when it is fully decoded and deciphered. But for some reason throughout history of suppression of knowledge or loss of the relationship of learning about phi or institutionalization of the educational system and the loss of learning about structure and form and the quadrivium in the educational process, all this just kind of washed away. And, the Russian pyramid, however it was created, probably more mathematical, was also lost, not ever presented to the West for us to relate to or connect to. But of course, the techniques that we come up with here, nothing is ever lost. I mean, before I even saw this diagram here with the double Russian pyramids, a couple of weeks before, I created this pattern that also will create the scaling angle here of the pyramid or the cone. And of course, it's just waiting to be discovered within the sacred geometry. And there's a lot more to be discovered, which the new geometers on my Facebook group are discovering frequently. I've seen quite an expansion and interest in this pyramid, and to see how much it has inspired the creativity of geometers who are already fluent with the techniques and material. It's been quite inspiring for them. And like I said, if you're new to sacred geometry, I believe this is a great way to get an introduction to using the tools and then seeing where it goes and where it leads you. This is the same drawing that I just showed you previously. And, like we can manifest and create from the 2D to the 3D. And of course, this one contains luckily I got lucky with this one ball I had, fit perfectly in there. So this would be the shared ball, the shared sphere between both the upward pointing blue one here and this downward pointing red one in this cool, 2D to 3D representation of the interlocked pyramids. It's the only sphere that they'll share in common. If the spheres going towards the top and the bottom will continue to decrease in their phi ratio scaling along those lengths. So I'll include this template too. If you want to make this one, this will be in there as well. And you could piece this one together and have this as an example. And you can use these templates to make them into wire models or anything else you want to do, because all the proportions on these will be done with 100% accurate computer generated diagrams. When I say computer generated, I don't just pump in and say, computer, make these angles. I do them all from the hand-drawn techniques. I check them out in GeoGebra to make sure all the angles hold. But I feel like this is a very inspiring way to get into it. There's many modern creations that we can create as new geometers, whether you consider yourself a new geometer, NEW or KNEW. I have a feeling that when you get into sacred geometry, if you haven't done it before, that it will become a new geometry, the way I describe it, the KNEW part, because sacred geometry is going to hold some special golden key for you to access that remembering of some seed kernel of knowledge or wisdom that's going to come through and emerge within your trail that you follow in this path. And the pyramids are a great way to get initiated into this art form if you haven't gone there before yet. And it can lead to many infinite creative possibilities, like this pyramid I can put into a decagon view, a hexagonal view. So once you really start to learn the geometric language, you can continue on studying with me or find other textbooks or other teachers. Like I said, I have the apprenticeship to teach you how to work with these other patterns and start to really see how this phi scaling angle has been hidden in it all along, plain sight within me. I've been working so exclusively with the golden circle diagrams, as I call them. I was already on the trail of finding these. I just didn't draw the line yet and make the connection to the amazing structures, the amazing pyramids that are created from it. So there's so many ways you can go it. And here are just a snapshot from one screen on my iPad where I'm testing out and kind of collecting all the different ways that I figured out how to construct the phi scaling angle with many different constructions, which we're going to do a handful in some of those bonus videos. I'll send a few of my other favorite methods that teach important geometric relationships of the golden ratio and scaling, and showing a few different views in those videos. And at some point, I'll document, either in a book form or a small pamphlet of some sort, all these techniques so that they're not lost and that anybody with compass and straight edge can construct these and build them and start to make the models themselves, all from hands. So, my question, what will the journey with the golden pyramids activate in you? I can't wait to see what that is. And please, go over and join the New Geometers Facebook group. You can see some of the awesome geometers over there that are also working with this. Please subscribe to this channel because I have a lot of other content too. And I have over 100 videos now on my channel talking everything from the platonic solids to different views to the earth grid. There's some on the crystal spiral. I mean, there's a lot of content to go through there. So check it out. Even some drawing videos of drawing the dodecahedron from a hexagon perspective. So yeah, definitely. This is all about a personal transformation with us, learning about the relationship of this embedded shareable wave that we're finding ourselves in, opening up our heart centers and different ways of being and relating in this world is all very much part of this journey because we are ultimately this technology deep within inside our beings. And these other amazing tools that we have around us, like learning about the pyramids or meditating in a pyramid, are definitely there to help assist us in our own growth and transformation so we could see our relationships and world around us with new eyes and bringing lots more love and light into the world. So here's just the final slide here, just to kind of just give you the kind of nuts and bolts. If you want to learn more, please go over to the newgeometry.space/pyramid or contact me at the New Geometry Gmail address there. But this is the Pinnacle Golden Ratio Pyramid Workshop. We're going to do 3 sessions starting January 9th, 2023. What a great way to start the year. I'm not going to have any participant limit in this one because I want to get as many people on board with this as possible. So it's going to be hopefully a great sized group and a lot of fun for all of us and great conversations within the group. So maybe start even a separate Facebook group for this one. Dates are going to be January 9th, 16th, and 23rd. And the Zoom calls, 1 p.m. Eastern time Monday. And we're each going to have 1.5-hour sessions. And they'll be recorded so you can work on that through the week. I'll also be sending an additional video each week, those bonus videos. So we'll cover some of the other techniques and the nets of the various different forms. This all, I think, is a great, I couldn't resist the cost of this, of course, 76.34, that was a given with this. And I think it's, by what you receive for this will be definitely a fully amazing experience for that scaling angle that I've chosen there. So thank you for joining me here today. Let me just pop out of the full screen and just show the models off a little bit more on the large screen. Here's that awesome big dodecahedron with the two types of cones and the pentagons. I didn't put the little pentagons in that less than these. I just felt that was a little bit redundant. I wanted you to see the cone shape in there. That's a very cool model. You can get this template here to make this one. And you just tape the edges together. We'll review that in the class. Of course, we'll make this kind of scaled model like this with the pyramid. And then we'll have that smaller cone, hand-drawn cone this was, that fits nicely right inside there. And we'll do these two models here as well. With the windowed versions, I'll send those templates along so you can recreate this. Neat to see that the base fits snugly in the bottom. And we'll talk about all the scaling and the mathematics and the relationships of this interspersed and mixed in throughout the lessons in the conversation. So, there'll be short presentations and slideshows to give you additional information within this overall 3-session workshops. So please join me at the Pinnacle Pyramid Workshop. And thanks for joining me here. Subscribe, and much love and peace. Have a great rest of your day. See ya.